When I joined the company, everyone spoke about John in the same tone. Lowered voices, respectful nods. That's John's call. John's very experienced. John knows how to handle leadership. I believed it, at first. He was my manager, technically. Tall, confident, always busy. He loved meetings, loved speaking in them even more. He had a way of sounding important without actually saying anything. His favorite phrases were, "Let's align on this. We need to think strategically." This is more complex than it looks. What he never did was explain anything. In my first week, I asked him a simple question about a project timeline. He smiled and said, "Trust the process." That should have been my first warning. Within a month, I realized something unsettling. John never worked. He delegated everything. Not in a leadership way, but in a survival way. If a task required thinking, he pushed it down. If it required accountability, he disappeared. But when it came time to present, John was always front and center. He took credit like it was second nature. Not aggressively, smoothly, as if it had always belonged to him. And the strangest part? Top management adored him. Whenever a senior leader walked by, John straightened up instantly. His voice softened. His laugh became louder. He complimented their ideas, echoed their opinions, agreed before they even finished speaking. He never challenged them, never questioned them, never risked disagreement. It was like watching someone bow without bending. The rest of us noticed, but we didn't talk about it. Because somehow, John always came out on top. Performance reviews? Glowing. Leadership feedback? Outstanding. Promotions? Always just around the corner. Meanwhile, the team did the real work. Long hours, tight deadlines, quiet stress. John's contribution remained a mystery. And then one morning, an email landed in my inbox. "Please welcome Lena, our new senior manager." I didn't know it yet, but that email was the beginning of the end. For John. Lena arrived on a Monday morning. Calm, confident, no fanfare, just quietly walking into the office with a purposeful stride. John, of course, immediately tried to impress her. He gave her a tour, introduced her to the team, and spent nearly an hour boasting about himself. His strategic vision, his leadership style, his past successes. The team tried not to roll their eyes. I tried not to laugh. Lena smiled politely, listened, asked questions, but not the kind John expected. She didn't ask him to explain his achievements in detail. She asked about how things actually worked, the real processes, the people doing the work. It was subtle, but it struck John like a thunderbolt. That afternoon, she asked me in private, in a tone so calm it sent shivers down my spine. "Who actually executes these projects?" I froze. I wasn't sure if I should answer. After all, John had spent years building a carefully curated illusion. I took a deep breath. "The team," I said. "We handle the planning, the execution, the client updates. John reviews occasionally, but he isn't involved in the details." Her smile was faint, almost unreadable. "Interesting. Thank you." From that moment, John started behaving differently. I could feel the tension in the air. The usual calm, confident man seemed smaller, more erratic. He began hovering over our desks, interrupting conversations, repeating our ideas in meetings before anyone else could finish. He tried to appear engaged, but Lena didn't flinch. She didn't praise him. She didn't fall for it. She simply observed. During one team meeting, John presented a project deck he had led. Halfway through, Lena interrupted with a question. "John, could you explain how you arrived at this conclusion?" John froze. A flicker of panic crossed his face. "Well, the team," he stammered. Lena looked directly at him, calm, collected. "The team did what exactly? Can you walk me through it?" The room went silent. All eyes were on him. John's usual charisma faltered. He tried to recover, but every attempt sounded hollow, empty, rehearsed. I had never seen him like this. Vulnerable, exposed. From that day on, Lena quietly collected information. She asked for project documents, workflow charts, client emails. She didn't accuse. She just mapped out reality. And John, oblivious to the quiet storm gathering around him, continued to bluff, overestimate, and overpromise, believing his charm and flattery would protect him as it always had. But for the first time, the people around him, his own team, started noticing. The cracks were visible. It was during a cross-functional meeting that things really began to unravel. John walked in, chest puffed, confident as ever. He was ready to present the quarterly strategy, his brilliant plan that, in reality, the team had been executing for months. Lena was there too, quiet, observing, taking notes. As John spoke, he began to repeat ideas that weren't his, presenting data charts he didn't create, describing workflows he hadn't managed. Everyone in the room knew it, but no one dared speak except Lena. She raised her hand, her tone calm, neutral. "John, could you clarify how this workflow was implemented? I noticed some deviations from the original plan." John faltered. He opened his mouth to respond, but the words came out in a nervous jumble. "Well, the team handled the implementation, but I oversaw it, yes, of course." Lena didn't back down. She followed up. "And who specifically handled the client updates for this project?" The silence in the room was deafening. Every eye turned to him. He stammered. I delegated it." Lena smiled slightly. "Interesting. Could you provide the documentation showing your involvement, just to understand your role clearly?" He couldn't. Not really. Because there was no documentation. There was no evidence of his contribution beyond saying he was in charge. I watched as the color drained from his face. The confident, charming John, the man who had charmed senior management for years, was now exposed in front of the team, and he knew it. The meeting ended awkwardly, with John trying to regain composure, but the damage was done. Even the senior leaders, who had been impressed by his confidence, looked at him differently. Afterwards, I overheard him muttering to a colleague, "She's going to ruin me. I need to control this." But Lena didn't need to control anything. She didn't yell. She didn't accuse, she simply laid out the facts, quietly but decisively. And the team started talking. Small whispers at first. Did you see how John froze? I think she knows exactly how little he actually does. For the first time in years, I felt a surge of relief. Someone finally saw through the charade. That evening, John paced his office, muttering to himself. His emails became frantic, demanding updates and status reports from the team he had previously ignored. But the team, emboldened by Lena's calm authority, didn't comply as quickly. The balance had shifted. The next few weeks were a tense power struggle. Every meeting, every decision, every client presentation became a test. Lena asked questions that John couldn't answer. She verified details that he had never known, and with each passing day, his confidence cracked further. It happened during a quarterly review, John's favorite stage. He had prepared for weeks, rehearsing every line, polishing every slide. He was ready to impress top management, to show everyone that he was the strategic brain behind all the team's success. Lena was present too, quiet as always, sitting at the end of the table. But this time, she had come prepared, not with accusations, but with evidence. The meeting started normally. John presented a complex strategy deck, using flowcharts and colorful slides. He spoke confidently, weaving a story that implied every idea had originated from him. Then Lena spoke, calm, precise. John, could you walk us through who was responsible for each deliverable in this project? John blinked. He hesitated. He tried to smile. Well, the team handled the details. I provided oversight, of course. Lena didn't pause. She clicked to the next slide. A table appeared, meticulously detailing every task, every timeline, and the actual contributor's name. Not a single item was directly attributable to John. The room went silent. John's hand trembled slightly as he gestured toward the slide. I coordinated with the team. Lena tilted her head. Yes, I see that the team executed the work. Could you explain your decision-making process for these deliverables? How did you guide the team? He froze. Words wouldn't come. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Every senior leader in the room leaned forward, sensing the tension. I watched him shrink in real time. The man who had been untouchable for years, suddenly exposed for what he was, someone who survived on flattery, borrowed ideas, and silence. One of the senior leaders, a usually stern but fair woman, finally spoke. John, can you explain your role clearly here? Because from this documentation, it seems the team did everything. He stammered, tried to recover. Well, leadership is about enabling others. Lena's next words were quiet, calm, but deadly. Yes, leadership is about enabling others, but it's also about accountability, and I don't see documentation of your involvement anywhere. The silence that followed was suffocating. John shifted in his seat, blinking rapidly, attempting to salvage what little dignity he had, but the evidence was undeniable. His team's work, meticulously tracked, proved he had done almost nothing. And the room saw it. After the meeting, John retreated to his office. The hallway buzzed with whispers. People who had quietly tolerated his behavior for years now saw the truth. For the first time, the team wasn't afraid. They had Lena on their side, and she didn't need to fight for them. She only needed to show the facts. John's empire of borrowed credit was collapsing, piece by piece. After the quarterly review, John became a different person. Not cruel, not arrogant, just frantic. He started micromanaging every single project, hovering over desks, sending endless emails, demanding immediate updates. But this time, the team wasn't intimidated. They had seen the cracks. They had seen Lena's quiet authority. He tried to charm the top management again, sending carefully worded emails filled with buzzwords, praising himself for successes that weren't his. But Lena was always one step ahead. She copied the right people, attached clear documentation, and simply stated facts. Nothing emotional, nothing exaggerated. Facts. John's confidence began to crumble. One Monday morning, he stormed into a team meeting, slamming his laptop on the table. I don't understand why projects are falling behind, he barked. Lena raised an eyebrow, calm as ever. John, the reports clearly show timelines and ownership. The delays are due to incomplete client feedback, not the team. He gaped, as if he couldn't believe someone was contradicting him and proving it with facts. No, he snapped. This is unacceptable. I need results now. The room remained silent. For once, no one flinched. Over the next few weeks, John's desperation grew. He tried intimidating emails, last-minute demands, and even subtle threats. None of it worked. Lena anticipated every move. She presented project progress directly to leadership, highlighting contributions correctly. She didn't attack John, she just let the evidence speak. The final blow came during a leadership strategy session. John attempted to present a new client proposal. Halfway through, Lena interrupted. John, can you explain the research behind this strategy? Who conducted the market analysis and data validation? John hesitated. A flicker of panic crossed his face. The team did it. I oversaw it, he muttered. Lena didn't flinch. She clicked to her slide. Detailed charts, emails, reports, everything John claimed as his work was attributed to the actual contributors. The room went silent. A senior leader leaned back and said softly, John, we've reviewed your involvement. It seems the team has been executing the strategy independently. We need someone accountable, not just someone present. John's shoulders slumped. For the first time, he couldn't talk his way out. His flattery, his charm, his presence, all meaningless. That afternoon, he was called in privately. The HR note was formal. John was being transitioned out of the company. No drama, no debate. Just the undeniable reality of incompetence finally catching up. Meanwhile, the team breathed. Relief washed over us. For the first time in years, our work would be recognized correctly. And Lena? She didn't celebrate. She quietly thanked the team individually. acknowledging every contribution. She never raised her voice. She didn't humiliate John. She simply restored balance, proving that leadership isn't about speaking the loudest, it's about seeing clearly and acting fairly. After John was transitioned out, the office felt different, lighter, open, honest. For the first time in years, the team didn't have to worry about being silenced, ignored, or having their work stolen. Lena called a small meeting, not to gloat, but to acknowledge the team. "I know the last few years have been challenging," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But your work, your dedication, and your talent are what make this company successful. Leadership isn't about taking credit. It's about seeing and empowering the people who actually make things happen." She paused, looking around at each of us. "Thank you." It was simple, but it was everything. Meanwhile, rumors about John's departure spread through upper management. Some leaders were shocked, some relieved. Some whispered that he had been living in a bubble of flattery for years. And finally, reality caught up. I heard later that he was struggling to find another managerial role. Companies he applied to requested references, portfolios, examples of his work, and there was nothing. Not a single deliverable he could claim ownership of. It wasn't revenge, it was just karma. For the team, the emotional relief was profound. We started speaking up in meetings, sharing ideas freely, and even mentoring newer colleagues without fear of theft or humiliation. Work became collaborative again, creativity returned, pride returned, and for me personally, I realized how much energy I had wasted feeling anxious, small, and powerless. Watching Lena handle everything with clarity and fairness gave me a blueprint for my own leadership. It wasn't about hating John, it was about valuing ourselves and our contributions. Months later, I walked past the empty office where John's desk had been. The aura of intimidation was gone. In its place, there was a quiet sense of freedom, of justice served in its purest form, not through shouting, not through confrontation, but through truth, evidence, and steady courage. Lena didn't just expose him. She reminded us all what it meant to lead with honesty, to value people over appearances, and to stand firm even when the world rewards pretenders. For the first time in years, I could breathe. And I could finally see the office and myself clearly.